2 years ago, April 2014, I made a presentation to the then council about a indoor facility and gave you some numbers and everything. And in that report at that time, there was discussion about a possible referendum, and that has progressed, and this council has said they would like to go that route. I pulled the old notes off of that, and I recommended studying it more in detail and opportunities for potential partners to be sought and get ready for a potential referendum in 2016, 2014. So I've got a couple things I want to share with you only for information, because I need some direction from you as to how we go through the next 2 or 3 steps. We've got to have, if we're going to do a referendum, we have to have that question ready by the end of August to get it on. It has to be approved by the state, get it on the ballot and everything. So what I've done is gone back and looked at the facility that we talked about in 2014, and that is the facility that the city of Manchester has. That facility is about 65,000 square feet, and with an indoor pool and wellness pool. There's 2 pools inside, and then there's an outside pool area that's kind of like a lazy river approach. It's not a real swimming pool, but it's a real fancy splash pad. That's the way to describe it. And that facility cost at that time, it was about $6.8 million for the facility. That was in 2002. I had given you some numbers in 2014 that indicated about a $10 million investment for a project like that. Then, of course, we'd have to buy property, so you have to sell money on there. So what I've done is looked at a base price of $12 billion. I'll give you those numbers in a minute. I've also got the information from City of Kingsport, because they were the latest ones to have a new facility. They have an aquatic center that the city owns. It's indoor and outdoor pool for water features. It's 50,000 square feet. They had a budget of $15.6 million, and it came in at $19 million. The city operates that. The YMCA operates a 35,000 square foot facility that basically is gym and some basketball, volleyball features. It was an indoor walking track around the gym. If you're not familiar with the one in Manchester, you may be. There's an indoor track inside that with a weight room, a fitness center, all the things that you need. If we depend on your direction, I'll get photos and slides and stuff so we can begin to look at things, because we'll have to make some decisions on what you really want to have. We have worked, the good part of this is we have worked with both architects. HFR did the one in Manchester, and Lowe's and Associates did the one in Kingsport. So we have good relationships with both of those firms. So I'm not asking for you to have them to design anything or create bid documents. But I will be talking to, depending on what you want to do, talking to them, trying to get a good ballpark figure. And then we'll come down to what we think it's going to be, and then we'll go for the referendum with not to exceed whatever the number that we think is going to be okay. Because if you exceed that number when the bid comes in, then you're kind of stuck. So we'll try to have some wiggle room there. Right now, if we use the numbers that I used in 2014, we're looking at, well, it's here someplace. We're looking at about $12 million expense for building and land. Debt service on that for 20 years will run $780,000 a year for 20 years. That will be 19.5 cent, potential 19.5 cent tax increase. Operating expense will run, estimated to run about $1 million. I think that we could, this is a conservative estimate, I think we could probably anticipate at least $300,000 in user fees. Could be more depending on what rate structure y'all would accept. That would be another $700,000 that has to be covered. That's another 17.5 cents. So you're looking at potentially 37 cents on a $12 million facility. If you go more, it's going to be a little different. I have had a conversation with the Cumberland Medical Center / Covenant, or Covenant / Cumberland Medical Center. And there was some discussion about possibly partnering a little bit on maybe a wellness part of the complex and some operation there. Of course, you can't really get them to sit down and say, well, we're going to do this until they know there's going to be a facility or something like that. But I think there is some possibility for a partnership. But you're looking at, again, unless you redirect funds, you'll be looking at something in the neighborhood of 37 to 40 cents increase in tax. That's for 20 years. Can I have some direction for you?
Okay. I've got a couple of questions. When you come back with whatever we decide, I'd like to have an idea of what we're looking at in footprint, the size of the ground, the parking lot. And there's two things that strike me on this thing. One is it's terribly expensive, okay? And two, that would move us into another direction. It would also help the downtown. It would bring in new life to downtown. And I personally have taken that into consideration. But this is a decision of such a magnitude that I'm in concurrence with Councilman Curley that this needs to be put, and the rest of the council, that this needs to put on a referendum and let the people make that decision. But I'm looking forward to seeing this done.
I will try to go, if I'm hearing something, I'll try to get some conceptual drawings that kind of show you a footprint, different things, and what facility might actually have as components of it. So that you would, I'll try to do that within the next month. So then you can say, well, we don't really want that. We'd like to have, we need 2 gyms, not just one. And try to make it, I think one of the things you want to look at is trying to make it as multi-purpose as possible for some meeting space that we don't really have right now. So if you're going to do something like that, let's try to get the biggest bang if we possibly can. But again, I'll just bring you some raw footprints and concepts on that, and then we'll start moving it down.
I think we need a decision of this magnitude. We need to have a meeting just on this where we invite people to once again share their ideas. Because I don't think $12 million is the number I'm looking at spending. I'm thinking more like 6 to 7. We've already got land. We've got almost 30 acres behind a rec park over there. And from what I remember, that was the intention of that property. And we've got other properties around that I think we might be able to work deals with. I know you've been approached with some people at Mariners Point. That would be something for people to talk about and get feedback from the public on. But, you know, the last time I played golf at Cattails there in Kingsport, that Kingsport location, there was folks basically parking in the woods. It was such a hit. And they were almost on the golf course parking, and that was in dirt, cattail. That's why they call that golf course cattails. They were, and I'm sure that golf course wasn't liking how far they were intruding over towards it. I think it's hole number 16. But there's all kinds of articles. Even the Manchester, I stopped and spoke with their director, and it has been a huge hit and success for their community. So it is a pretty awesome facility. That means
We have no public transportation other than what the housing authority provides. We have poor people, and we have some people that are disadvantaged. We have a lot of youth out there. These youth need to have access to something within walking distance. The rec park provides multi-activity, but what the rec park does not provide is easy access for people who do not have parents that can tow them out there and bring them back. The streets are not safe to bicycle traffic. like they are in other communities. And I have grave concerns about placing the facility not centrally located. Now, the utilization of property and the merit of that, I understand the argument, okay? But I would like to see this centrally located, so everybody has access, particularly young people who do not have parents that can tow them around.
That's certainly a consideration, absolutely.
You put this on the referendum, you're gonna basically try to get an idea listed at 6, 10, 12.
Whatever number you guys come up with, the referendum will be not to exceed.
And if you vote for this in the affirmative, it's gonna cost you 37 cents tax increase,
Yeah.
whatever number. Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah. People have to, people need to know, because people want that as a amenity in the community, they don't have to pay for it. Or do with less service.
Don't we have a study on what revenue this is gonna bring into membership?
We have.
That's gonna help pay the bill and the cost, the maintenance cost and things.
We had study, city had a study done in 2008.
Yeah.
That was a potential partnership with YMCA. They had some projections in there, they had some fee structure for partnering. And I would recommend that if you go that path, that you put a program in that actually you need to have monthly memberships if you're gonna use it. That can be whatever you decide, as opposed to having day fees. Because if you have day fees, you don't have any idea of trying to be budget. You just hope that somebody shows up or something. And you can look at something in the neighborhood of, you can structure packages for disadvantaged, they pay so much, seniors pay so much, or so little, and you have scholarship program. There's lots of ways that you can do it, but I think we would be, I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you that you could get more than 50% of the operating cost out of the user.
Well, I think that's about where they were at in that study.
That would be, 50% operating would be fantastic. But now, one of the things that happens if you got a good facility, and here's the thing you need to think about, and I will certainly try to lead that discussion. If you're going to go down the path of building a facility, then build a facility that the community is going to be proud of, and it's going to be able to accommodate the anticipated growth or whatever, and don't build something that people say, well, I wish they'd done this, or wish, because, it's a little bit harder to go back and after you spent 10 million, and say, oh, I should have spent 14, and should have made it bigger. So we need to have a lot of thought about that, and I think you're right. When we get some conceptual things together, start letting the public, start giving you some feedback on it.
And the other thing is, maybe Mr. Chair can help with this. When this is presented to the public to vote on, they have to be able to have the facts. And that's something that we have to be able to provide. That's what, both in terms of what we're trying to sell to the public, if you want to put it in that term, and how much it's going to cost. Not just when they walk up in the ballot. It has to be presented out there to the public in some way or fashion.
There is some language in the referendum question. So basically, lets the public know that it's going to be, as the warm taxes will be used to meet these obligations. The question, if you can't put it, it's going to be 37 or something, whatever the sense is, but you can do lots of promoting that this is what's going to cost in public meetings and let people know that it's going to have a price tag.
I don't know if promoting is the right word as much as informative. Because I can have a certain sentiment, but I don't want to sway the public. I just want them to know honest evaluation.
Well, I think if you go forward with getting the conceptual thing and then have the public come in and give you their feedback, and like they've done on 2 years ago, in stuff regarding recreation, when we're doing the master recreation program. A lot of folks have identified indoor facilities once they run this. And then it just comes down to How much, yeah, how much is it gonna cost? Is it something that, will this concept really be what's needed for the community? Or do we need to step it up a little bit or cut it back?